Welcome to beautiful Munich. Guten Tag to all the urbanists out there. This is truly one of the best cities in Europe. It's just so charming, so beautiful, so lively at night and during the daytime. The Bavarian culture is also very convivial. There's music being played outdoors. It smells pleasant everywhere. I really love Munich. Highly recommend coming to this city. This is already my third time coming to Munich, and I'm excited to walk around. Tomorrow, stay tuned because I'll be going live a few times throughout the day to a new city that I haven't been to before that I'm super hyped to show you. Let me know where you're watching from, and let's explore Munich for a nice evening stroll. Right at the Marienplatz. That's where we're starting at the moment. But before I continue walking around, let's enjoy some good, beautiful music for a few minutes, and then we're gonna continue making our way. Roxanne with the super chat tonight. $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Roxanne. Off the bat with a beautiful super chat. Thank you so much. Why am I here in Munich? Why is it the third time I'm here? Well, it's a great city. So I would come here just in general. But the main reason I'm here is because I'm working again with Lufthansa, which is the main airliner of Germany. And they love the two videos I did with them back in March when they sent me over to Barcelona, that they hired me again to cover their new airplane cabin called the Allegris. I had to do a very long layover in Toronto because the Allegris right now is running from Canada to Germany. But very soon it'll expand to New York to Germany. So I'm covering that flight. That video will come out soon on TikTok because they're paying me, sponsoring me to do it on TikTok. But I'm super hyped that as a result of this sponsorship, I get to be with all of you here in beautiful Munich, Germany. Oh, the guy's playing Mamma Mia. Probably gonna get copyrighted for that, but it was worth it. All right, let's explore beautiful Munich. How's the weather over here, says Roxanne. Roxanne, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you always for your lovely super chats. We have frequent super chatters out here, like Roxanne is one of about a dozen or so frequent super chatters. So Roxanne asked, how's the weather? The weather is a bit hotter today. It was 86 degrees Fahrenheit when I arrived. But there was a light breeze, so it wasn't too unbearably hot. Munich is known to get humid. It's like a more humid area of Germany. But today I don't feel the humidity. So tonight it feels nice and breezy, about 78 degrees, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very nice. Susie says, your whistled song is not was misleading. Oh, no, it's not, Susie. That location is tomorrow. The hints that I gave is for tomorrow's location. So for one day, I'll be able to show a fully new city that I haven't been to, that I'm super excited to go to. But since I'm in Munich, you probably could already start making really educated guesses. So they just lit up the Marienplatz. TS says, go to Leierkosten for the best institution in Munich. What is Leierkosten? TS, do let me know. Hey, Susie. Nice to see you here. April says good stuff. Yeah, thank you. Colleen. Joe, welcome. Prague says Guten Abend. That's how you say good evening. Thank you so much. Guten Abend. I gotta learn how to pronounce that last word, Abend. Camilla says, are you leaving Germany? I'm doing a day trip tomorrow to a beautiful city that I've already left 2 hints on. Some people have guessed it right. Some people have guessed it right. I'll leave it at that. Stay tuned tomorrow throughout the day. From morning to early evening, I'll be going live maybe 2 to 3 times to show you a fully new city that is one of the most famous cities in this area of Europe. The architecture is just stunning. Yeah, truly, truly stunning. So there's a huge clock over here that rings throughout the day. Irene, Irene, you have German descendancy, right? Irene says the Aben, the accent is on the A. Aben. Oh, all right. Kathy says, I've been waiting for you to post. I still post very regularly. I've been a bit slower past 3 months because I've been working on bigger projects. I've been lucky to have some great sponsors. And hopefully with these sponsorships, I'll be able to travel more calmly and have the budget to do longer trips later this year, early next year. So that's why I haven't been posting like crazy, like I used to last year or a few years ago. But stay tuned. I absolutely love making content, and you'll see me yet again post like a madman in the near future. Hey, Pythagorean, Constantine, nice to see you here, man. It was such a pleasure going over to your home city of Toronto. Wendy says, have you had a Frankfurter yet? No, not yet. I had a tuna sandwich, which was nice, but then I had dinner. I had dinner at Polaner, which is my favorite brewery of Munich. Munich has, if I recall correctly, 7 breweries, and I covered more in depth the history of Munich last year, so watch my videos last year about Munich's history. Today I'm not really covering history, we're just going to enjoy an evening stroll, but I will show you what I ate. Polaner is my favorite brewery. So this is my favorite brewery. I love their main beer, the Muncher Hell. Pardon my German. That's their main type of beer. Hell just means something different in German. Let me know what it means in German. It's used a lot for beer. And I got a roast turkey, which was really good, really delectable, really well seasoned, with some rosemary potatoes, some asparagus. Asparagus is absolutely delectable here in Germany. You know, if you don't like your veggies, if you're American, like myself, who grew up with very boring tasting veggies, because let's be honest, asparagus tastes like nothing in, at least supermarket asparagus tastes like nothing in America. But oh no, when you have asparagus in Central Europe, you will be blown away. It's 100% worth it. Have a good grilled asparagus, whatever is in season, maybe the green one or the white one. And then shaved carrots and some tomatoes, and it was overly heavenly. And it quite wasn't enough to fill me up. So later on, I had a potato salad, and that potato salad, oh my god, it was like completely slathered in this really tangy, spicy Dijon mustard, or not Dijon mustard, the local mustard, the German mustard. Ooh, Wow, just potato salad made with that mustard kick. It's amazing. And here in Munich, they do like a potato salad that's kind of warm. It's not cold potato salad like Russian potato salad or other potato salads you might have in other parts of the world, like in Puerto Rico. They're cold. We call it papas rusas, which means Russian potatoes. Am I jet lagged? I am. I'm significantly jet lagged. A very long trip to Toronto because of the rainstorm, so I didn't get too much sleep in Toronto. And now I had to fly early, and it was a short flight, so and I was working. I had to film parts of the flight, so I was able to sleep on the plane. My plane departed at 8:40 p.m. and it was about an 8-hour flight, and I arrived by 10:30 a.m. here in Germany. The bed was super comfortable. I'm so excited to post this video. Let me know if Suburbanists want an extended cut. I'm always happy to provide extended cuts to these adventures. But the Lufthansa Allegris, which is their new flight, new cabin, is amazing. And I really was able to sleep so soundly. I was able to toss and turn. I had plenty of space, and it was really great. I traveled on business class. And but I was only able to sleep for about 3 hours, and then I took a nap for like another 3 hours when I arrived, and luckily was able to check in early. So I don't have too much sleep. I'm very sleepy, but I'm gonna enjoy this evening walk with all of you. So it says, do people speak English here? So German is indeed the main language, but English is, there's very high proficiency in English in Munich. I'm not sure the moment you start going to other parts of Bavaria, but in Munich, there's high proficiency in English. So this is the new subway station, or metro station, the U-Bahn, that was under construction last year. Here's a very fancy grocery store. I just love this grocery store. It is beautiful inside. What's the name of it again? Susie says, we'll keep you awake. Okay, Susie. Wendy says, I love a good nap. Naps are good. Hey, Joe. Thank you so much for tuning in, Joe. I appreciate you. This is called the Dalmar. The Dalmar. Dates back to the 1700s. Really, really old grocery store. I think it's 1700s. Around there. It's pretty old. And inside it's one of the fanciest grocery stores you'll ever see in your life. Up there with Harrods in London. And New York, we really don't have a fancy grocery store. We have like Cittadella, Italy. Tamo says, 20 years ago, the English was not so good, but nowadays many Germans speak English. Yeah, they do. And someone said, it's better that you speak German. I have not encountered a bad attitude with speaking English immediately. Germans are pretty straightforward culture, similar to the Dutch, similar to the Danes. Of course, there's differences, but in terms of language, the easier way to the best way to communicate is the way that they prefer. So if you know English well and they know English well, that's the way it's gonna go on, and they'll do it as fast as possible. And you know, Germans are all about efficiency. Of course, I'm stereotyping, but there's always truths in the stereotypes. So if English is the easiest way to communicate, that will be the way you will be communicating. It's not like in France or Italy, where They will insist that you speak French or Italian. Here, that is not the case, from my personal experience. But if you say a few words in German, it always helps. It won't impress Germans as much as, say, in Greece or Spanish-speaking countries, where you speak a few words and they love it. And it won't impress them that much. So you don't have to really go all your way to learn that much German if you're traveling here as a tourist for a short period of time. There's other countries where it's better that you learn the language. France and Italy, it's better that you learn the language because they just really prefer you speaking their language. They don't like when they have to speak English, even though they sometimes in the big cities they are proficient in English. And then you have other places like Greece, where you say a few words in Greece, you'll just get the most friendly welcome, service. People will just be so happy that you just spoke a few words in Greek. And this is the case also in Ireland, if you learn a few Gaelic words. Ooh, here's the tram. Oh my god, how I love light rail. Ooh, I have never been in here. Let's see what's... I don't think I've walked through here. Just stunning, this city at night. I mean, just look at this. Vane says, I went to Frankfurt last year. No one spoke English. Really, Vane? Frankfurt? I haven't been to Frankfurt yet, but it is one of the larger business centers of Germany. I would assume that they know English. Ute says, welcome to Germany, man. It's always my pleasure coming to Germany. Such a beautiful country. Lots of great history. You know, of course, there's these very dark periods of the 20th century, but before then, very interesting parts of history. Great culture, great food. Lots of great things about Germany nowadays that I love. Great architecture. Christine says, glad to see you in Munich. I thought you would go over to a different location. Oh, Christine. Munich is not the place I was hinting at. There will be another location that will be featured. Wendy says, how long your stay? Very, very, very short. I'm only here throughout the weekend. 3 days. How long was my flight? 8 hours. It was pretty short. I didn't realize Toronto to Munich was that quick. I was expecting a longer flight. This is packed. What is happening here? Is this like the hangout, or the show just... Are people waiting for a show? Or is this like a massive tour group? Susie says, whistle your hint again. I know some people already know the answer, so refrain yourself from spoiling it for other commenters, because already people got wind of what I was whistling, but I will whistle it again. That one's a bit harder to whistle, but that's a second hint. If you don't get these two hints, then you guys are hopeless. So if you don't get those two hints, sorry for everyone who's watching. You just You really need to learn your Central European history. It's beautiful. Wow. Just love it. MZ says I'm a pretty good whistler. Oh, thank you, MZ. Some people might disagree, but I'm glad you think I'm a good whistler. It's good to hear. Adam says I do not understand the whistle. I'm sorry. No worries, Adam. No worries. You only have to wait a day to find out why I was finally whistling. Wow, this is the hangout here at night in Munich. Hey, Irene says, now I'm absolutely certain where you're going. And Brent says, the architecture does not stop. No. Munich is a very pretty city. It was bombarded, if I recall correctly, heavily during World War II. This was the basis for the German party of World War II. Later on, they wanted to make the grand capital in Berlin, but this is where they started. This is where they ran their operations initially. And this was heavily bombarded as a result by the Allies. But nonetheless, Munich rebuilt after the war, which is highly impressive, you know, for a country that really lost terribly and committed some terrible atrocities. They did a great job in rebuilding with the help of a lot of American funding, for sure. But I am astonished by the sheer magnitude of reconstruction that happened here in Munich, for example. They did not try to just build the city new like Rotterdam or parts of like Manchester. Instead, they decided to recreate the old Munich, and they did. And they passed. Sorry, I don't understand.
Can I please come on the camera for the people? Oh my God.
People are asking if I'm live. And yeah, I'm just really impressed by how they were able to build. They decided to recreate this old style. And they did some modern touches, because you see it here. Michelle says, would you be making documentaries about the history of Europe? I hope so. There's one more coming up in late December. Hopefully around Christmas time, you'll be seeing the history of Edinburgh. So stay tuned. Edinburgh, Scotland. 4 episodes. Edinburgh is super fascinating. If you want to learn urban history, if you love, obviously if you're watching my videos and you have a certain like for urbanism, for learning about architecture and cities and how they work and how they feel, Edinburgh is definitely one of the top cities to learn about, because they'll help you understand cities on a greater level. So I can't wait. Adam says, do you mean the party that starts with the N? Yes, I do. If I use that word too much, I will run into issues with the algorithm. It'll think I'm making hate speech, which is a big shame. And I get less views and less people are able to watch this video. And I potentially get demonetized too. So it kind of sucks. That's why I don't use the full words associated with World War II. And it's a big shame, but I do what I gotta do. I'd rather use a euphemism and have more people watch these videos then use the full word, and almost no one watches. I hear opera. Oh, that's a show. So there's a show happening down there, but the security. So I think it's a show in the courtyard, but it's closed. That would be cool. I wish I could sneak in. Maybe there's another direction. Who knows? Robert says, I never seen a live stream from Munich. Oh, I did Munich for an entire week last year in May. So you can watch a lot more live streams in Munich. I explore other areas here. I do the double-decker bus tour. So he says, that's something you rarely hear in the streets of New York Opera. Yeah, that is something you rarely hear. Wow. See, this is truly the European vibe here in Munich. You got these outdoor cafes, people drinking, people eating. You got musicians here and beautiful interior arcades. The gorgeous warm lighting all throughout the streets. This right here is not only exclusive to Europe. You don't need to be European to have this. I think America should wake up and realize that we can't have beauty like this. This is recreatable. We won't be, this kind of sense that you'll be copying or making a lesser version of a European city. Munich in a way was directly inspired by ancient Rome. So nothing is ever new. And warm lighting is good. As opposed to that bright white LED lighting. I get it why people use it. In highways it makes sense, because the highways you want clarity. Train tracks, train stations you want clarity, but not in a beautiful city. You don't need bright white LED lighting. You need nice warm lighting that's not too bright. You can build architecture that is made out of stone. Sure, it's expensive, but America is the most richest country in the world. There's other countries, good example, that are very rich. Why can't we build like this? There's not too many excuses. And in terms of outdoor dining, in New York, for example, we have good 5 months of solid good weather where you can dine outside. Hey, Raphael, I wish I knew how to read German. Thank you so much for the message. Let me know where you route. Kay says, beautiful music. Indeed, beautiful music. So, this is a common comment whenever you talk about trying to encourage cities to build beautiful in the classical style, is that this is old. This is old style. This is not. This is the style of the 1800s, 1700s. We don't need to. We can't build this. It's better to just build something new. The thing is, if you go back to the 1800s, 1700s, when a lot of these buildings were originally built and then later reconstructed in the 1900s, but some of these buildings did survive the war. So when they were built in the 1800s, they weren't new back then. These were revivals or modernizations of ancient Greek and ancient Roman architecture dating back to 2,000 years ago. And you go to some other parts of the world, they adopted ancient Byzantine architecture. Or like in India, they adopted ancient Indian architecture. Or Japan, they adopted ancient Japanese architecture. These are revivals of old architecture. Architecture constantly is going through a revival process. We don't always need to build what's new. You know, as they say, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you already have such a beautiful style of architecture that inspires, that moves people, that gets people to visit these places and spend time here and hang out here for long periods of time, and inspires people to do art and write music, then this is architecture that works. It works. We don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. It works. So why not keep building it? And sure, we always need to experiment, but we've gone a bit too far in the Western world, especially in parts of the US. You see this in Canada, you see this parts in England, and definitely in the newer parts of Germany, parts of the newer cities like Rotterdam and Netherlands, where they veered too much into experimental modernism that doesn't inspire. It was a worthy experiment. Some things we did learn that did work, like functionality, like efficiency, like building taller, for sure, but doesn't work on a human level. A lot of things don't work on a human level. This does. This is a great example of architecture that works. Just like a wheel spins efficiently to hoist something, a vehicle, horses, cargo. The same thing with beautiful architecture like this. This type of architecture started with the ancient Greeks and then later the ancient Romans, just works. It works. And we should build more of it. Reverend Jenny Osario says, hey, you agree with me. Hey, I'm glad. So this is a recreation of the, I forgot the name. I did mention this last year. I talked more about the history, but we saw this kind of, I forgot the name of this type of building, but we saw the same exact thing in Florence, if anyone could remind me of the name. But this is the recreation of the one in Florence. So see, you can see how nothing is really new. The Germans copy from the Italians copy from the ancient Romans copy from the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks, well, they definitely use elements from other ancient cultures before them. The ancient Minoans, the ancient Mycenaeans. So nothing is ever new in this world. We don't need to get too obsessed with modernity, because that will lead to our downfall. Reverend Jenny says, main reason I moved to Bath, Maine. Bath, Maine is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous city. For sure, for sure. I really loved it. Hey, Rami says Ariel's back in Europe. Indeed, I am. It can be done in new builds, just that people think it's not aesthetically pretty. But I beg to differ. It's prettier than most modern buildings built. Yeah, it's just the thing is, it's a bit odd, the psychology behind construction and development. In the US, we kind of have this perception that it will just look old and drabby. But if you look at Munich, it does not look old and drabby. And Munich had the opportunity to rebuild, to reconstruct. So they did take the chance to probably update some of these older buildings and make them more efficient, more cleaner, more wider, more livable. But it does not look old and drabby if you pay attention to them. You know, in some cities it can get that way, but that's what maintenance is for. And actually, modern buildings degrade way quicker than these older neoclassical European buildings. The lifespan of a modern building is tiny compared to a neoclassical European building. I recall it being like 30 years or so, 30 to 50 years. A modern building lasts in good condition, maximum. A neoclassical building, as we're seeing here walking through Munich, is a few hundred years. A really well-built classical building like the Parthenon, the Pantheon in Rome, could be even longer. It could be thousands of years. So take that into account. Wow, this is gorgeous. Marcus says Rotterdam is just ugly. I can say that as a duchy. Luckily, it's one of the few modern cities. Yeah. I get why the Dutch experimented with Rotterdam, but I don't think it worked. Susie says, I need to get the hell out of Bushwick. Indeed, Susie, indeed. I hope you do. I hope you do. This love says, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. Yeah, if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. Remember, they built European way before there was even the United States. Yeah, early US built very European. This is that we destroyed a lot of those downtowns that we had with architecture that looks similar to this. Stephanie says, lovely music. Susie says, I feel my blood pressure going down. Ah. Joe, stay tuned. I don't reveal exact dates when I'm traveling, or when I'm traveling, or where I'm traveling. But yeah, I'm traveling soon. It's a short trip. Joe says, just like in New York sirens. Yeah, the sirens here are softer if you pay attention to their sound. That's what I like about the European sirens. They're not as piercing as American sirens. And I remember there's a reason for it. I gotta do more research into that, but American cities tend to be louder, so they make the siren more piercing. And also I think it's due to the nature of the streets. They tend to be wider and have more cars, so that piercing sound is needed to cut through. But here in Europe, since the smaller streets, usually a bit quieter, it's not as needed to have that piercing sound. I think that might be the case. This is a nice little beer garden. Kay, hey, Kay, has to go. Kay, we will miss you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, is YouTube still on? Are people still tuning in? Oh, for some reason, I think YouTube crashed. Oh, there we go. Okay. There's some issue with YouTube. Oh, I'm glad people are still on. Oh, I love these little beer gardens. This is another thing that's missing in the US. In the US, we're under the impression that we should not have cafes or bars in parks. And this is one of the parks here in Munich. Because we think that, you know, it's kind of weird to have a cafe or a bar. But cafes and bars in a park is just awesome. It's really awesome. Especially if it's safe, especially if it's in the middle of a city or area where a lot of people are just sort of casually walking through. And I think we should build more cafes and bars in parks. Let me know what you think. All right, good. People are still watching. How do I exit here? All right, I got kind of stuck. That's so cool. MZ says, I love outdoor cafes. Yeah, they are awesome. Wow. Adam says, are there cafes in Central Park? There's a few kind of kiosks where you can buy some drinks, and then there's a few food stands, but there's not really a good cafe, unfortunately. I really wish that was the case. Shrey says, any plans to come to Berlin? I went to Berlin a few months ago, back in wintertime. Marcus says, Munich looks a bit Italian. Yeah, it's on purpose. They were clearly inspired by Florence. The more you walk through Munich, the more it seems like Florence. Shrey is asking about Berlin. Yeah. Berlin will be featured again soon. Not this trip, but soon. Wendy says, where are we stopping for beer? Hey. Joe says, this is a nice walk. You should sleep good later. Oh yes, I can't wait to sleep good later. If I find a nice casual place for a beer, I will stop for it. Feel free to ask me any questions that you would like, anything that you're curious about. All right, some reggaeton playing. Wendy says, thank you. My feet were tired and you deserve the beer. Hey, Wendy, thank you so much. I'm glad you think I deserve the beer. Yeah, a few comments. People saying something about the host being handsome. I'm not sure if you're getting confused me with another live streamer. All right, so I walk through this way. We're gonna walk through this other street. Marcus says, Munich looks stunning. Truly is. Adam says, what church is this? Oh, I forgot the name of the church. If anyone knows it, let us know in the comments. I did cover the history of it last year. So watch my Munich live videos from last year, or my short videos. But let me get close and we'll see what the name is. Irene says, you've been to the train station. It's impressive the amount of bikes parked there. People leave them, take the train and pick them up after work. Kathy says, you are handsome, my friend. Hey, Miss Lobster, no, it's you. You're the handsome one. This is St. Cajetan Theantine Kirk. Theantrine Kirk. What does Cajetan, I might be mispronouncing that. What does that translate to? This is not Frankenchurch, Christos, but we will pass through it soon. This is Theantiner Kirk. And I did walk inside of it last year. Nebul says, Guten Abend. Hey, Nebul, thank you. MZ says, if you wanted to escape the US for a few years, where would you go? Paris? If I still intended on doing videos for making content, live videos and short videos, Paris would be number one. Rome would be a very, very close second. Those two cities for sure. To hide away and just like relax, Athens. Those are probably the top three cities, yeah. Hey, Christine says, was everything okay with your flight situation? I got so lucky. My flight departed a mere few hours before airports all across the world shut down due to a shortage with some Microsoft cloud service. I forgot the name of the Microsoft service. Well, some type of cloud service went down from Microsoft. It caused a lot of issues with most of the systems that are in place for flights and airports. And it caused tons of cancellations and delays all throughout the world, which is a very big deal. Very, very scary. I luckily was not caught up on that. I just ended up flying just before that happened. So, thank God, because I had to get to Munich. Since this is a sponsored gig I'm doing, Lufthansa is paying me to cover the plane and the flight, not Munich, and specifically on TikTok, not on the other platforms. So I'm glad because it is a nice job, and I'm glad I'm able to do it with Lufthansa. Marcus says our hospitals have to postpone surgeries because of the Microsoft. Wow, even hospitals were affected. I haven't had the chance to really go deep into the news, but that's crazy. It's crazy to think that even hospitals. It affected Spectrum service in the US. Oh my God, even Wi-Fi cable. That's crazy. It's called Cloud Strike. Oh, I didn't realize that. Irene says London not anymore? No. Irene is asking, is London still my favorite city? No, the vibe in London has changed, not to my liking. Yeah, London does not feel English anymore. It feels like something else. And it's just, I don't vibe with the cultural change that has happened in England. It is a multicultural city, I get that, but it has kind of veered very much to a different culture, and it's not my favorite. So I really love the European lifestyle for good reason, and London no longer feels European in a greater context, and definitely does not feel English from my perspective, and I've heard many other people share the same gripe with London. So yeah, I Paris to me still feels like Paris. Rome still feels like Rome. You still have that European flavor, that aroma, that essence, the culture. Luckily, New York still feels like New York. But a city like London has just changed radically. I think they've lost faith in their own English culture over there in London. And to me, it's just kind of very saddening to see. English culture to me is very beautiful. It's a very beautiful culture. Has a lot of positives. Has a beautiful history to it. Every culture is complicated. And England and Britain is no exception, but there's a lot of beautiful aspects about English culture. So I'm saddened to see a city kind of throw that away. So that's why London is no longer my top spot. It's still a beautiful city. I mean, I still enjoy visiting it, but it won't be a city I would consider living in. Wow, this is a beautiful Art Nouveau style building. Look at this. Okay, unfortunately there's a guy playing very loud music that most likely is copyrighted. I'll just wait until it keeps walking. AMZ says, I was surprised to learn that a lot of private equity firms bought out many shops in London. Perhaps that has contributed to the change in vibe there. Yes, that probably has a very big factor. The pubs basically have all been consumed by 3 major companies. So that's one factor. The other factor is there's a lot less mom and pop shops in London. Yeah, so there's a few factors, and it's gotten increasingly expensive. Carl says, how about Asian countries? Asian countries? Yeah, there's a lot of Asian countries I want to visit. I want to visit Vietnam, Japan, Thailand. Cambodia. I'd love to go to the mountains of Pakistan if it ends up being safe at some point. I would love to go so many places in Europe. The city looks very clean and alive. The difference in nightlife and vibrancy compared to Toronto must be very noticeable. It says Constantine. Hey man, yeah, there is a discernible difference between both cities. You know, Toronto, I really did enjoy Toronto. I was genuinely surprised that Toronto was a fun city to hang out in. I did not expect that. I thought Toronto was going to be rather boring, similar to Seattle. Seattle has a lot of beauty. It has very interesting history. And there are certain things about its culture that are interesting, but the city is a bit boring. And I thought Toronto was going to be like that. But no, Toronto actually proved to be very fun to hang out in, though it does not have much of a nightlife. So this is a big difference from Toronto. Of course, Munich also does not have a nightlife compared to Paris, Rome, or London, or New York. So we're seeing pretty much the extent of life here in the city center. I think once you start exiting the city center, I don't think bars are open that late. I think bars maximum 1 a.m. I think. There might be a nightclub scene in other parts of Germany, but not here in Munich as much, I think. So correct me if I'm wrong, any Germans out there that are tuning in. But yeah, Munich is much more of a chill city. Alan says, hey Ariel, I absolutely love your live streams. You give so much insight to your location. I hope you come back to Ireland soon. Hey man, I really do need to go back to Ireland. I loved Ireland and I hope to go back and explore more of Ireland. It's such a beautiful country. Some of the friendliest people, on top with the Greeks, the top 2 friendliest people in the world I've met so far. Mexico is number 3. So Ireland is just a gem. I just love Ireland. Look how amazing trams are. Just listen. Really listen. I had to mute. So this one guy is walking through the same street that I am right now, and he's blasting music, collecting water bottles, and it's annoying because it's copyright music, but you did have a good minute to listen to the trams. So my point was that the trams are very silent. They're way quieter compared to a car filled with street filled with cars. Way quieter compared to a highway, for sure. Way quieter compared to a bus, and way quieter compared to a subway that runs overhead. Light rail is awesome because it's very quiet, and it runs slow. It's safe. You know, the chances that you're going to be run over by a light rail are going to be very rare. You really have to not be paying attention. The driver has to be not paying attention. It'll be very rare that accidents happen because of light rail. So that's why light rail is amazing. I really would love New York to adopt light rail and many other American cities. You know, New York does not need to spend billions on subway, on metro. Because I get why we build metro. Metro is nice because we kind of hide all that infrastructure underground, and we should have a metro system for sure, and we should be maintaining it, we should extend it. But light rail should supplement the shortcomings of a underground metro system. And I think light rail is the way to supplement that. Buses are not the way. Buses are loud, they're inconvenient, they're slow, they're not predictable as a good light rail. Only one city does really buses well, and that's London. Dublin does buses pretty good as well, but it's very few cities that do buses well. Wendy says, are you taking it slow tomorrow? No, tomorrow I'm going to a fascinating new city, so it's gonna be a very fast trip. I gotta mute for a little bit. Deborah says, hey, this is beautiful. Munich does remind me a bit of Florence. If you haven't been to Rome, you'll love it. Yeah, I've been to Rome. I loved it too. I've been to Venice. I've been to Florence. I've been a lot to Italy, and I have plenty of videos there. And yeah, it is lovely. Oh, Gato says you might get mugged. No, here in Munich, chances of getting mugged pretty low, at least in the city center. So no, I don't fear of a mugging while I'm strolling here at night in Munich. Public buses are out-of-date version of transportation, says Daryl. Yeah, buses can be useful. London does them right, but London is pretty much one of a handful of cities that I've seen have good bus system. Buses are good in certain situations. If you have a lot of curvy, tiny streets like London, buses are just amazing. But light rail is better if you have these big avenues, like New York. We have these big avenues. So I recommend this restaurant. This one's really good. Let's see, Gloch am Dom. Gloch am Dom. I might be mispronouncing that, sorry. It is a great restaurant, great sausages. I covered it last year. Jared says this is in America. There's no reason why America can't adopt the positive things about Europe. America has done that before. America learned urban planning from Europe. America learned neoclassical architecture from the School of Beaux-Arts, and the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. America learned about steel construction from Edinburgh, from Scotland, Glasgow. There's no reason why America cannot take elements from Europe. No reason whatsoever. Mika says that the restaurant's name means Bell at the Dome. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, all these trio of restaurants are really good. I really love them. This is a great place. This is, I think this is Fraukenkirch. Right here. I'll show you the facade soon. And there's a sax man. I'm glad that there's a sax man here in Munich. You should be there for Oktoberfest. I love that. You know, Oktoberfest would be interesting to visit. Might be a bit hectic, but I think it'll be fun. Reverend Jenny says, America has always adopted things from Europe's past. Yeah. America has always done that. Europe has done it from America as well, so it goes both ways. Susie says it's why New York City has City Bike. Yeah, City Bike is another thing that's interesting. The prices for City Bike have risen significantly to the point where renting a electric City Bike costs the same as using an Uber, which is a bit obscene. City Bikes should not be that expensive. I'm not sure what's the case with the public bike shares in Europe, if they're not that expensive. I know the scooters, I've used scooters in various European cities, including here in Munich. I've used scooters in Brussels, and a few other cities. I've used scooters also in Washington, D.C., and they're very cheap, which is great. Is it cool out? Yeah, it's nice. Susan, nice to see you here. Owen says, nice walk. Very calming. Mika says, Frauenkirk means woman's church. Yes, and here we go. The Frauenkirk. If you notice, in English-speaking countries, kirk is used, especially in Scotland. Kirkyard. Kirk is often used in many words that are related to churches in Scotland. With its beautiful onion-shaped domes on each of the towers. Very beautiful church. The symbol of Munich, truly. So Mika says you can have a city bike, a bike share in Hamburg for free for the first half hour. Ooh, cool. That's awesome. There's a nice little fountain. This is another great beer garden. Beer hall, I think they might call it, because it's not so much of a garden. But the Augustiner, this is the main Augustiner beer hall. Highly recommend it. Great food here as well, great service. Very spacious, so you won't have tough time finding a seat most of the time. A table, I mean. Marcus says, in many photos you can see this church with the Alps behind it. Oh man, I wish I could see the snowy mountains. I have not seen them yet from the point of view here in Munich. Wendy says, have you treated yourself to anything? Yeah, I had an amazing Polaner meal. A meal at Polaner, which was great. But I already had my food of the day. I could use like a tiny little bite if I can find something. Like a nice little dessert. Jesse James says, 2 facts about Luxembourg barely anyone knows. We have one round church in one town, and one town without a church. Oh, wow. Very fascinating. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jesse. I can't wait to one day visit Luxembourg. Truly, I'm not being sarcastic. I think it would be fascinating little country to visit at some point in my life. I've been trying to make my way to Luxembourg. It's a bit expensive because it's not as easily accessible from the big cities in Western or Central Europe. I think Luxembourg is closer to Switzerland or closer to that eastern part of France. But yeah, I haven't had the easiest time getting to Luxembourg yet. Reverend Jenny says a dessert would be nice. A dessert would be really, really nice at this moment in time. Oh wow, it's the Fraukenkirk. Luke says, why do they keep the parasols up? I think Munich and in general Bavaria might be an area that rains suddenly. It's a very wet area of Germany. So I think that might be the reason why they keep the parasols up. So Tamo says the best connection over to Luxembourg is via train from Brussels. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize I was close via Brussels. Oh, I wish I knew that when I was in Brussels. But I love Brussels. I can't wait to go back. So, that's fascinating. Elgato says, can we go to a McDonald's? No, I'm not that type of live streamer. Elgato, you got the wrong guy. I don't do the vlogs of McDonald's around the world. Let's try McDonald's in France. Oh wait, I did that video. Let's try McDonald's in Rome. Yeah, I haven't done that one. I've only done one McDonald's video, and it's in France, in Paris. So we've seen this pig before, and guess what city? The city that this city actually resembles a lot. Yep, Munich. I'm sorry, Florence. We also this boar statue in Florence, or a similar version to this. This one's a different one, but we've seen also a boar statue in Florence. Hello, 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 hello. Hey, this is the Museum of Hunting? Oh, this is the one museum I actually really want to go here in Munich. Oh, I might visit the Museum of Hunting. This is cool. The Museum of Hunting. Andrea says you should go to Victualentenmarkt tomorrow. It's a very big market with a huge different varieties of fruits and vegetables. Ooh. Oh, that's good to hear. Luke says that's a public urinal. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that people, after having their multiple liter beers, would mistaken that huge mouth of a fish for a place to do their business. I would not be surprised. Susie says I should go fox hunting. You know, I wouldn't hunt down a fox. They're too cute. I'll hunt down a boar. They can be very aggressive. A boar can kill you. You can't mess with a boar. So I might go boar hunting. And a boar you can use for sustenance. Fox, not so much. So yeah, I wouldn't hunt foxes. I would pet a fox. I would domesticate a fox. I would make a fox my own pet and then walk it in Central Park for sure. Hey, Pythagorean says this reminds you a lot of the old town in Tallinn. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities. Tallinn has a little bit more of a Middle Ages look to it, for sure. But a lot of these European cities all have kind of the similar flavor if they date back that far. If they date back to the Middle Ages, you don't see too much medieval architecture here in Munich, but it does date back to that time. If you see a city dating back to the Middle Ages, you have the same feeling all throughout Europe. These smaller streets, the main town center, the main church in the center. Yeah, a lot of specific elements. Luke says, "Dad, I like Denmark." I loved Denmark, Luke. The Danes are also among the friendliest people I've met. Different type of friendliness, but Denmark is amazing. I really loved it. I really loved my time in Copenhagen. It was too short. I was there for a week. I should have been there longer. I definitely would have had a fun time. Here's TK Maxx rather than TJ Maxx. Mislav says, I agree, no cars. Yeah, it's nice with no cars. It's very freeing and very relaxing. There's a few cars. Here's a police car, but it's nice that it's generally pedestrian, these streets in the city center of Munich. Mislav says, Toronto needs more pedestrian malls like Europe. Yes. The Kensington Market you showed has pedestrian Sundays where no cars are allowed. Kensington Market allowed for a little bit taller construction around it, and they closed off the streets. Yeah, it could be a really, really beautiful, walkable area. Marcus says, I need a tree. Here's a tree, Marcus. There are trees in Munich. Hey, here we have more beer halls. This is nice. A lot of Augustiner. Augustiner owns a lot of these beer halls. Hofbräuhaus, there's only like 2 or 3. There's not that many. Paulaner, there's not that many, which sucks, is my favorite one. Augustiner is the one that has the most. And these are grand. Wow, look how beautiful they are inside. Wow, such a beautiful city. I'm gonna show you the transition from the city center, historic, to the more modern area right by the train station, so you can see the difference. And that'll be our final stop, right outside these walls. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Stay tuned tomorrow. I'll be live all around. Beautiful city nearby. Wendy says, can we have a beer? I'd love to have a beer, but I don't see any places where I can just casually sit, unfortunately. In Germany, you still have to kind of sit down, get table service, ask for a table seat. They usually kind of expect you to order some food, similar to America. So it's not as casual to grab beers in Munich, unless if I go to like a grocery store and buy one and just drink outside, which you can do. Do you get the impression that most people walking by are tourists? It's a combination. There's definitely a lot of tourists here. There's a lot of foreigners, immigrants, for sure. But I can also see that there's Germans here. So it is a really mixed, but definitely during the daytime, it's skewed significantly tourist. Thomas says that's not true about the beer gardens. You could just sit there. I haven't seen that many beer gardens here, at least here in the city center, that I can just sit in. But that's good to hear. That in general, the case is that you can sit. Yeah, here in the city center, right, a lot of them are restaurants. And Marcus says modernist alert. Yep. Well, now we're exiting the historic center. There's so beautiful architecture out here, but it's really mixed with modern architecture. And this is Karlsplatz, which I think is almost like the main center of the city, like the Times Square of the city. Kind of like these old neon signs as well. Algatsa says this is nice. This is nice indeed. This is like the ammonia square of of Munich, to make an Athens comparison, or the Piccadilly Circus to make a London comparison. Wendy says, I love the fountain. Yeah, me too. I love the fountain as well. So downstairs, there's a lot of big underground area with a lot of shops, a lot of quick casual food. So if you're looking for casual bites, go to the big train stations like Karlsplatz. And you'll find a lot of good casual food that you can take out. The YouTuber, yeah. The girls were asking me if I were a YouTuber. Oh, I love that German accent. Very nice accent. And now we see cars, yeah. So these are like the huge, this is the huge Stroll. Stroll is like a very wide road that kind of almost acts like a highway without necessarily being a highway. But this one goes all around the city center, if I'm correct. So yeah, cars do exist in Munich. We were just in a particular area where it's pretty car free. And there's a few other pockets in Munich that are car free, which is nice. All right, everyone, I will depart from you here because I want to wake up bright and early so I can show you one of the coolest, what I anticipate to be one of the coolest places in this area of Central Europe. I'm super hyped. I haven't been to this location before. I haven't covered it. I've been to the country before, but haven't been to this area of the country. So stay tuned tomorrow, all throughout the day. Anywhere between 2 or 3 live streams you'll be seeing of this beautiful location, snowy mountains, and I gave you 2 musical hints. So stay tuned tomorrow throughout the day. Everyone, keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Wait, how do I say bye again in German? Auf Wiedersehen. So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen.